Welcome to the deep dive. We know you have a stack of sources, research papers, corporate announcements, regulatory updates, and we're here to give you the high-value insights fast.
And today, we are locking in on the most crucial developments released specifically today, December 6, 2025.
So what's new today in AI? Forget last month's headlines. Today, the race. It feels like it fundamentally changed.
It really has.
We're tracking a huge global, high-stakes battle for physical compute infrastructure. It's stretching all the way from Tennessee to Sydney.
And at the same time, we're seeing this new frontier in reasoning capability, which is fascinating. And it's delivered not just by the big proprietary giants.
Right, but by massive open-source models, which is a surprise.
Exactly. Our mission today is to cut through all that noise. We're going to distill the critical metrics, the strategic implications across 4 key areas.
Okay, so what are they?
Foundational research targeting reasoning, the commercial products that actually deliver those capabilities, then the immense capital costs of the infrastructure that supports it all, and finally, the rapidly shifting compliance floor set by global governance.
So we'll help you understand not just what launched, but really why these announcements are so important for AI right now.
Precisely.
Okay, let's jump right into the research papers then, because the breakthroughs we saw today in reasoning and multimodal processing are significant.
They are, and particularly coming out of China.
We have to start with Alibaba's Qwen team. They've released Qwen3-VL. This is an open-weight multimodal model, and it has a new deep stack architecture.
And what's so fascinating here is how they conquered the long context bottleneck, for vision language tasks.
Okay, what does that mean in simple terms?
Well, previously, feeding a model huge documents and high-resolution images at the same time was just It was technically difficult and incredibly expensive.
Right.
This deep stack architecture, it sort of layers the processing steps, and it solves this by enabling a native 256,000 token context window.
Wait, 256,000? 250,000 tokens.
250,000.
For context, that's like processing several entire scientific textbooks, diagrams, and all at the same time.
Precisely. And the fact that this is an open weight release, it just democratizes these incredibly advanced applications.
So what can you do with it?
Well, think about researchers being able to use this for complex scientific visualization, or enterprises finally being able to use AI to understand massive, image-heavy legal documents in one single go. That scale was previously just confined to proprietary labs.
And this competitive pressure on reasoning, it's clearly global. DeepSeek released its V3.2 special model.
Yes, another open weight model. This one is focused heavily on advanced post-training. So basically, it's a model optimized specifically for hard logic and problem solving.
And this is the critical insight, isn't it? It proves that the open ecosystem is achieving parity with the big proprietary labs in these really complex, high-stakes reasoning areas.
That's it. DeepSeek V3.2 special earned gold medals in high-level math. It's matching closed-source performance on benchmarks like GSM-8K and MeitY.
Wait a minute. If an open-source model is now matching or even beating proprietary models on tests like the American Invitational Mathematics Examination, which is a very hard high school math competition, what does that tell us about the economics of all this?
It tells us that the financial barrier to accessing these frontier reasoning models is collapsing. Developers no longer have to pay a proprietary API hundreds of dollars an hour to solve these complex problems.
Because an open model, freely available, performs just as well.
Exactly. This just accelerates the shift toward specialized, cheaper, and locally runnable models for enterprise functions.
Meanwhile, NVIDIA introduced a more modular approach with Tool Orchestra.
Yes. This is a relatively small, an 8 billion parameter model, and its main job isn't to solve problems itself.
Okay, so what does it do?
It acts as a sophisticated manager, routing tasks efficiently to the right external tools or submodels.
So it's architectural shift toward these modular agentic systems.
Yeah.
That's a big deal for cost, I imagine.
It's massive for real-world cost efficiency. If you don't need to spin up a giant 70 billion parameter model just to decide which submodel to call, you save money.
How much money are we talking?
The Tool Orchestra design cuts inference costs by an impressive 70% through that dynamic orchestration.
70%, that's huge. This isn't just about cheaper R&D anymore.
No, this changes the economic viability of putting sophisticated tool-using agents on virtually every desktop in a corporation. The next generation of enterprise AI won't be one single monolithic brain.
It'll be a team.
A dynamic team of specialized experts, all managed by an efficient router like this.
And finally, on the research front, we saw work from the Frontier Development Lab, or FDL. That's a NASA public-private partnership.
Right. They presented new machine learning frameworks at the NeuraPS conference, specifically for space science.
And what are they looking at?
They're focused on analyzing solar wind data and forecasting ionospheric dynamics. It might sound a bit abstract.
A little, yeah.
But the core impact here is establishing concrete benchmarks for what they call agentic scientific reasoning in these complex, data-rich fields like heliophysics.
Heliophysics. That's the study of the sun's influence on the solar system. Why does that matter for, people using their phones?
Because solar weather can significantly damage our satellite communications, GPS power grids on Earth.
Oh, okay.
So by creating these sophisticated AI agents that can rapidly ingest and forecast that data, they're essentially building an advanced warning system. And that is crucial for improving satellite infrastructure safety and communications globally.
That's a perfect segue into product announcements because those research breakthroughs, they always lead to new features.
And the proprietary giants are doubling down on reasoning quality.
Right. Google launched Gemini 3 Deep Think mode for its Ultra subscribers.
Deep Think mode is designed for those high-stakes tasks like complex math and scientific problem-solving. The key innovation is that it incorporates parallel hypothesis exploration.
So it's like a system 2 thinking approach.
Exactly. It explores multiple possible solutions at the same time and checks its own work before giving the final answer. It's slowing down to improve accuracy.
And what are the results of that more deliberate approach?
It's delivering tangible results. The mode scored 41% on Humanities Last Exam and 45.1% on ARC-AGI-2 when it's coupled with tool integration.
Now, those numbers might still sound low to some people.
They do, but for those specific benchmarks, these are frontier-defining scores. It signals a clear product priority toward reliable, verifiable output over just, generating fast text.
Okay, now let's switch gears back to open source, where Europe delivered a bit of a shockwave.
A huge one. Mistral AI unveiled Mistral 3 Large. This is a new mixture of experts, or MeitY model, released under the permissive Apache 2.0 open license.
And the scale here is the story.
It is. Just last year, models a tenth this size were considered proprietary crown jewels. Mistral 3 Large weighs in at a massive 675 billion parameters.
675 billion parameters.
Yeah.
For a fully open model.
It's unprecedented scale available without any vendor lock-in. It just fundamentally resets the bar for what developers can expect from the open community.
That has to be driving some internal alerts among the competitors.
Of course.
Speaking of which, OpenAI, clearly feeling the heat on capability and transparency, released a new safety technique they're calling confessions.
Yes. The idea is, it's brilliant in its simplicity. The model outputs its primary response alongside a secondary channel.
And what's in that channel?
An admission of uncertainties or internal shortcuts it might have taken during its reasoning process.
So they're basically releasing a tool to grade their own homework. Is this just a transparency feature or something more?
It serves both roles, but the diagnostic potential is where the real value is. They tested this on GPT-5 variants, and it achieved 92% hallucination detection accuracy.
92%.
It provides this crucial diagnostic window into why the model failed, giving researchers a path to fine-tune and improve trustworthiness, instead of just labeling an answer as wrong.
Right. That level of introspection is essential for any high-stakes enterprise use.
Absolutely.
Moving to generative media, Runway is accelerating the video race. They've upgraded Gen-4.5.
Yeah, they've improved the physics simulation and added keyframes for really precise motion control.
And the video competition is now quantified by the ELO rating system, like in chess.
That's right. Runway's latest version now claims an ELO rating of 1,247 in video generation benchmarks. That kind of measurable progress just intensifies the commercial competition against rivals like Google's Veo or OpenAI's Sora.
And finally, on the product front, Amazon Web Services, AWS, released its Nova 2 Foundation model family.
That includes the Nova 2 Lite and Nova 2 Omni models, and it came alongside the Agent Core framework.
Agent Core. So this signals a focus shift.
A massive one. It's a shift from just simple model access to full system deployment. Agent Core is specifically designed to help enterprises transition from using these isolated models.
Where you ask one question, you get one answer.
Exactly. And move towards building full, multi-step, autonomous agent systems for complex production workflows. AWS is clearly aiming to be the backbone for enterprise agent deployment.
Okay, let's connect all of that, the research and the products, directly to the infrastructure required to run them. The sheer capital needed is staggering, and it's driving a geopolitical scramble for physical assets.
It is, and let's start with the hardware. Reports are suggesting Apple may start using Intel's manufacturing capabilities.
Which is a huge geopolitical and supply chain story.
For years, Apple has relied so heavily on Asian manufacturers. Now, reports indicate they may use Intel for some of their lowest-end M-series chips and non-Pro iPhone A-series chips.
And this isn't just any manufacturing, right? They're eyeing Intel's most cutting-edge processes.
Correct. The plan is to potentially utilize Intel's advanced 18A process, which is a sub-2 nanometer node. This represents the next major jump in chip efficiency and supply chain diversification.
So it's about national security as much as it is about efficiency.
Absolutely. It allows Apple to build better chips while reducing its reliance on its current primary manufacturers. This could start as early as mid-2027.
And on the compute front, we're seeing this global land grab. OpenAI is aggressively expanding its physical footprint outside of the U.S.
Yes, they signed a memorandum of understanding with NextDC to develop a high-density AI campus and GPU supercluster in Western Sydney.
This is where the dollars get just mind-boggling.
They do. The total investment for that Australian development is $7 billion, which is about US $4.6 billion.
$4.6 billion.
It signals this urgent, aggressive push by the frontier labs to secure massive, stable physical compute capacity in geopolitically strategic regions, outside of their home turf.
They're building the AI equivalent of a global railway system.
That's a good way to put it. Meanwhile, xAI is consolidating its capacity stateside. They detailed their Colossus II supercluster in Memphis, Tennessee.
And that's for training their Grok 5 model.
Exactly. Their strategy is centralization to reduce complexity and overhead. Consolidated compute enables faster iterations toward AGI-scale models, and they're aiming for a Q1 2026 release.
So this all just confirms that the AI race is fundamentally a capital expenditure race.
Without a doubt. Financial analysis now confirms that Meta's rising AI capex is the single biggest factor driving their overall company costs.
Which highlights the hypercapital intensity of modern AI. Building a competitive moat is now just defined by your ability to absorb these massive, unpredictable costs.
And only a handful of hyperscalers in the world can sustainably do this, which further solidifies their economic advantage.
And the moment that infrastructure costs soar and model capabilities jump, governance shifts from, suggested guidelines to mandatory obligations. The compliance floor is rising fast.
It is. And we saw new metrics today that underline that urgency. The Future of Life Institute released a major AI safety index, grading 8 major labs on their preparedness for catastrophic risks.
And the results were not great.
No, they were stark and sobering. It found that only 3 companies, Anthropic, OpenAI, and Google, scored above a D, and they all just got a C+.
A C plus.
It revealed widespread, documented deficiencies in existential safety planning, particularly around transparency and model evaluation.
And this isn't just some academic exercise. This report is being used to advocate for a much more stringent regulatory model, right?
Yeah.
Something like the FDA's role in drug safety.
Precisely, because industry's self-regulation appears to be insufficient. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the EU AI Act continues to set that global bar for mandatory compliance.
Right. Analysis confirmed that fairness and bias prevention for high-risk systems are now a clear legal obligation for EU software providers.
Demanding auditable proof of compliance from day one.
And what exactly does the EU mean by unacceptable risk systems that are now banned?
Well, these are systems deemed to pose a clear threat to human rights and democracy, like social scoring systems or certain types of emotion recognition in public spaces.
So that ban took effect back on February 2, 2025.
Yes, and it means providers have to overhaul their entire development cycle to ensure compliance. It's not a nice-to-have, it's a legal necessity that's actively transforming the European software market.
Switching to Asia, the government of India held a conference discussing the convergence of AI with their digital public infrastructure, or DPI.
Right, for their national development strategy, Viksit Bharat. The aim is to leverage the vast, successful public digital networks India has built.
And those DPI initiatives were incredibly successful.
They were. They expanded financial inclusion from just 21% to over 80% of the population. Now, the goal is to evolve that into what they're calling digital public intelligence.
So using AI not just for access, but to deliver, anticipatory citizen responsive services?
At a massive national scale across sectors like health and agriculture.
And finally, The commentary on legal liability for these LLMs is growing louder, and the core risk is training data copyright.
This risk is highly acute. It's because of the threat of statutory damages, the potential for courts to award huge fixed sums for every single instance of unauthorized input.
And there are discussions around a potential massive settlement, something like $1.5 billion.
That's the number being discussed. This IP risk just dramatically raises the cost and complexity of training new foundational models, which, often favors the big, closed, proprietary labs that can afford to license data or litigate.
All of this competitive pressure is clearly intensifying among the market leaders. Following these releases from Gemini 3 and Anthropic, reports say OpenAI CEO Sam Altman issued an internal code red alert.
That signal reflects the immediate pressure at the frontier. The reported urgency is to accelerate ChatGPT development and just focus resources entirely on the core product.
So it's a clear reaction to the threat from competitors encroaching on their market lead.
Proving the race isn't just about launching, it's about development velocity.
And Anthropic, one of those competitors, demonstrated this velocity by acquiring the Bun JavaScript runtime engine.
Acquiring Bun signals an intense focus on performance and execution speed for their code model offering.
And that move came right as their Claude Code offering reached a stunning $1 billion revenue milestone.
In just 6 months. It shows that these high-quality, targeted agentic code tools are generating immediate, massive commercial returns.
And we are seeing that transition to production just accelerate across the board. Accenture and OpenAI announced a major partnership to deploy ChatGPT Enterprise.
Yes, to tens of thousands of Accenture employees using AgentKit.
And this is a critical strategic development.
It is, because it positions global consulting giants like Accenture as the essential implementation layer. They're becoming the interface between OpenAI's advanced research and the deployment needs of Fortune 500 companies.
Accelerating the shift to the full production phase of AI workflows across the entire global economy.
Exactly.
So today's deep dive has revealed a technology race that's really defined by two core and often contradictory themes.
The pursuit of superior verifiable reasoning shown by DeepSeek and Gemini 3, and then the unprecedented hypercapital-intensive infrastructure needed to support it globally.
As shown by that $4.6 billion Sydney deal. And at the same time, you have this explosion of massive open-source models like Mistral 3 Large.
Which fundamentally changes who can participate in this race, even as the barrier to entry remains sky-high.
Okay, here are the tools and numbers you need to know from today's updates.
Let's hear them.
First, tools you can use today. Number 1, the NVIDIA Tool Orchestra code is available on GitHub right now for developers who want to build cost-effective, modular agentic systems with that 70% cost reduction.
That's a big one.
And number 2, the AWS Agent Core framework, a new starting point for developers interested in building autonomous agent workflows in the enterprise.
Okay.
And now, the numbers of the day. First, $4.6 billion. That is the estimated value of the OpenAI and NextDC AI campus deal in Sydney. It just illustrates the extreme global capital expenditure now required for securing physical computing power.
And the second?
$675 billion. The parameter count of Mistral 3 Large, representing the new massive scale achieved by fully open-source mixture of experts models, delivered to you without proprietary vendor lock-in.
Today's updates really show that the biggest challenge for AI might no longer be purely technical. It's operational and it's economic.
How so?
Well, if massive, well-funded players like OpenAI are experiencing technical friction leading to internal code red alerts and scaling infrastructure costs are soaring into the billions, this raises an important question.
What does that cost pressure ultimately mean for the accessibility and affordability of these cutting-edge tools for you, the end user?
Exactly. When the economic forces favor building these competitive moats with massive capex, how long can open innovation truly keep pace? That is the real dynamic that will shape the global AI landscape in 2026.